Hey everybody, this is Sarah, the Catholic Homemaker. Today I wanted to talk to you about the importance of reading to your children 20 minutes a day. First of all, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked this video, and comment and share the video so that more people can see it. Comment below if you read to your child 20 minutes a day or more, or less than that. Let me know how much you read to your kids. So I've heard from so many different sources that reading to your children a minimum of 20 minutes a day is very great for their reading comprehension and just overall academic success. But it's important to start from an early age as well. If you haven't done that already, that's okay. You can get started. And you can even try to just do it in smaller chunks. Maybe you feel like you can only do 5 minutes consistently every day. And I think it could definitely build from there, and you could easily see how that could turn into 20 minutes or more. But if that's all you think mentally you can do, just start with 5 minutes a day. And I heard that from Read Aloud Revival with Sarah McKenzie. She has a podcast. And interesting thing about that, I was listening to one of her podcasts, and she was talking about if all you can do is just 10 minutes a day. She gave a great example of what that would lead to in 1 year. If you read to your child 10 minutes a day, that would take you through the entire Chronicles of Narnia collection by C.S. Lewis. So that would take you through all of these titles. And this book is 767 pages, and it's in small print too. I was actually thinking of starting to read this to our children to see if they have interest in it. My husband was reading to our oldest when she was 2, probably closer to 3. I think it was The Hobbit, and it actually put her to sleep. But she was kind of interested in what he was saying, but then he continued reading and she kind of lost interest. I think the language was just too advanced for her. And so I want to either start with the Chronicles of Narnia or The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, and just see how she does with it. And the younger girl might also go for it as well, because she listens to whatever we read to the oldest. And sometimes it's too much for the middle child, but sometimes it's not. Our middle child really loves to listen to Beatrix Potter, and I thought that might be too advanced for her. She'll even sometimes listen to Winnie the Pooh, which I think is pretty advanced language sometimes, especially since it was written like 100 years ago. But she still will sit and listen, or sometimes she won't. Sometimes she'll get too bored, but it's enough for our 5-year-old, and it's actually part of her curriculum for Mater Amabilis this year to read all of Beatrix Potter and all of the complete collection of Winnie the Pooh. So I don't think you should underestimate your kids. I think you should, just because something says that it's their reading level doesn't mean that's all you have to stick to. You can definitely introduce them to things above or below their reading level and just see what their interest is. And I think that's especially important, to read something that they're interested in. And if it's too hard for them to understand, you can break down the vocabulary for them, because I definitely do that when I'm reading to my kids. I'm like, I don't think they know this word. I'm like, do you know what this is? And they're like, no. And I tell them what it is, and they're like, oh. So, and I sometimes remind them of that too, just going through that a couple times. So I encourage you to just start with either 5 or 10 minutes a day if you think 20 minutes is too much, and it can easily turn into more than that, and that's very important. Also, I wanted to mention, I was listening to Matt Fradd, who has Pints with Aquinas on YouTube, and he did an interview with Stephen Rummelsburg, who is an educator. he used to work at a charter school in California, but I think he's since moved to Texas. But he's like won at least one award for teaching. He's an excellent teacher when he was in California. And so that's why he was interviewing him, because of his experience and his success. And Stephen Rummelsberg was saying the public schools are basically pretty much all the schools out there. The school system is just so bad. It's just your kid would be better off if you homeschooled them, and if all you did in homeschooling was simply read to your children good literature all their schooling years, they would be better off than the kids in the schools. And I was in shock. I could not believe that he would say such a thing. And he even said the same thing about his school. He has a really good charter school, or he did have a good charter school out in California, and he still thought it would be better for your child to be homeschooled and just simply read good literature the whole time. So that's really encouraging to hear. If you feel like you're failing in homeschooling, or if you feel like you're not doing enough, at the bare minimum, you could at least be teaching them and just reading really good literature like Beatrix Potter, Winnie the Pooh, C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, all these other great authors. So I hope that is an encouraging piece of advice to you. Let me know in the comments what you do to teach your kids. I believe that we as parents are the primary educators of our children. The Catholic Church believes that too, but unfortunately a lot of parents don't think that they're capable enough. They think that if they don't have an education degree, then they aren't able to educate their kids. But we have to realize that if we aren't going to be teaching our children things, if we aren't the ones that they trust, then they're going to be learning things from other people, and that may not be what we want them to learn. They may not have the same values as us. So that was really one of the primary reasons that I was attracted to homeschooling. I kind of questioned it for a while, but the primary reasons was that I wanted to instill our values and our morals into our children. And it's just really hard in this day and age to do that, even if you go to a good Catholic school. So I know there are probably some really great Catholic schools and even great public schools out there with great teachers, but unfortunately the system is kind of just stacked up against everybody. But even if you send your kids to school, just be encouraged that reading to them 20 minutes a day, even if they're older, even if they can read by themselves, it's still very beneficial for you to read to your child. Even if they're in middle school or maybe even in high school, it's good to read to your children, even if they've been able to read to themselves for a long time. I hope you have found this video to be encouraging, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and may God bless you and your family.